Hi, welcome back to the class, and this is another day, it's another session, and we are going to talk about another subject, fertilization or conception. And last time we talked about other classes, and we talked about female reproductive system, we talked about male reproductive system, and we noted that in the female reproductive system, a woman is usually born with primary oocytes which are not developed over 400,000, and a man usually create or develop the sperms after puberty, and per day 2 to 4 million of sperm per day. That was our previous class. We also noted that the similarity in anatomy but difference in function. We noted that the female has 2 ovaries, the male has 2 testicles. The man will have a penis as the organ and the system in general. The woman will have the vagina, and that was more discussed in the previous classes. In this class, we talk of something else, and that is conception. And we want to understand the conception of fertilization. That is lesson 10. Now, conception of fertilization is what happens after the ejaculation. If the sperm is ejaculated or the semen into the body of a woman, then we expect that the semen will be released with millions of sperms. An egg is usually expected to be in the oviduct by that time, which is somewhere around here in the fallopian tube, somewhere around here, over here, over there. And this is the uterus. The implantation happens in the uterus over here, but the fertilization has to happen in the fallopian tube, from the ovary to the uterus. In the middle there, that's where the fertilization should take place. And apart from that, the egg moves in the oviduct. Now, the sperm to the egg is not an easy task. First of all, they go. Some sperm will go into the wrong direction. Others will be carried with the current. Others will be attacked by the white blood cells of a woman. Others will not make it due to acidic environment. But at least finally one or a couple of them usually come into contact with the egg. Now, in the contact with the egg, due to the fact that others even went to the wrong direction, a few come into contact with the egg, but the first one is the one that usually fertilizes the egg. The good news is that millions of sperm, which could have been other people, usually go, but me and you, or everyone, is as a result of special gift that God gave you the opportunity to be a human being, and that one usually fertilizes the egg. Now, when we talk of the egg, now the sperm has already located the egg. Once the egg has been located, the head usually disintegrate or break down the membrane that covers the egg. It dissolves the protective cream that surrounds the egg, and once the sperm gets in through the egg, the instant biochemical change happens in a zygote, and no more sperm can be able to be allowed to enter into that egg, and thereafter the growth and multiplication will follow until the baby becomes a full human being. Now, let's check the female reproductive cycle and the hormone that usually govern in that period. From day 1 to day 5, this is menstruation. You can see the menstrual phase. These days, the woman is shedding, the tissue and blood flows out of the body, menstruation period. Then, followed by proliferative phase, menstrual flow phase, then proliferative phase follows, and then that will be marked by the ovulation. Ovulation happens in day 14. So we have the follicular phase, ovulation, and luteal phase. Now, you can notice that this black one over here is the hormone which is called luteinizing hormone. It is higher than follicle stimulating hormone, but as a woman approaches day 14, usually luteinizing hormone shoots very high and then goes down if there's no any fertilization. And then followed with the follicle stimulating hormone as well. Nearly day 14, the follicle stimulating hormone usually also increases. When you talk of other two hormones, estrogen and progesterone, when estrogen is high, progesterone is low. When progesterone is high, estrogen is low. You can notice over here that estrogen is high over here, but progesterone is nearly down there. When estrogen start to slow down, then progesterone kicks in. Before day 14, estrogen is higher at its peak. After day 14, around day 20 over there, progesterone is the one that is higher than the other. The third thing here, we talk of the follicle, from primary follicle, growing follicle, graphium follicle, then ovulation, then corpus luteum is integrating the corpus luteum, and it goes like that. So the cycle of 28 days has from breaking down, rebuilding, then external nourishment. If there's no any fertilization, then it goes back down. You can see the phases of the 28 menstrual cycle. Now, let's talk of fetal development. Now, the membrane surrounding the baby contains, that's the amnion. This is the membrane that surrounds the baby. It breaks down before birth, which is the water break. Now, the amnion, within it, there's amniotic fluid. The amniotic fluid is that water or liquid that surrounds the baby. It's a buoyant, excuse me, it's usually a buoyant, and it's a protective fluid that helps the fetus to have free movement within the mother who is pregnant. Now, this is what makes a fetus within a mother. Even if a mother is running, the fetus does not also run. It is stable because it is like swimming within there. Now, when the fetus is inside the mother's womb, it's usually fed with something it's called the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord, this is the blood vessels from the placenta to the baby. You know, the mother's blood does not mix with, does not come in full contact with the fetus blood. It's in cases, mother and the fetus can have different blood groups, in fact. And usually, it is the umbilical cord that is here. You can have a look over here. That the umbilical cord will connect itself to the placenta. This one that's around here is a placenta. And then the mother's blood will bring nutrients and blood into the placenta, and then the the fetus will absorb the nutrients and damper the unwanted resources, so that the mother can eject them through her own system, or through urination, through whatever it is, particularly urination and sweating. The mother will excrete. It is more advised that the woman who is pregnant to drink a lot of water and have some time to rest, eat well, because she is carrying not only her body but also a fetus within her. Now, at birth, usual labor is what usually comes. The labor pain, which come periodically, and at the end we will show sign of labor, and then the woman will go for parturition or birth. The muscles will contract and relax, and the opening of the cervix will open, and the baby usually is staying in a uterus, this part over here. Then the baby will come out, and excuse me, and the baby usually comes upside down, head first. That is usually called that's normal. But other babies may come out feet first. If they come out as feet first, this is called breech, which is not a good process, a bad one. But due to the fact that there could be medical care or health support, it is most advised that women should give birth in a place where there's medical care or facility to help them through the process, and to check if, in case of any challenges that needs intervention. You can notice that some children are born with help of operation, delivered by cesarean section or C-section. This is a surgical removal of the baby. And all pregnant women who are for the first time should go into a major hospital, and those who are beyond 5 child parturition, 4 or 5, also need more care, because they are already in a risk. Risk has been increased. Delivery is best at its best below 35 years. Beyond 35 years is also, the risk also increases, and also below 18 years or 21 years, as you go down, also the risk is also high. So there's a window period of which is more healthier at that time, rather than don't jump when you're too young, and don't wait until you're too late. It's not impossible, but it's just an advice that is recommended as far as medical recommendation is concerned. Now, after the child is born, there's what follows, that is called afterbirth, which is that placenta that usually comes out. After the baby is born, the mother delivers the placenta, the afterbirth. That detaches from the uterus. It is therefore recommended that an expecting mother should have medical care or support available. Should it happen that she cannot be able to do it on her own, there will be medical support. After the child has been born, then what follows is breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is very important. Is the most nutritious option for the baby. Hallelujah. The baby should drink mother's milk. And when you talk of breastfeeding, the milk from a mother is usually naturally changes its composition to suit the need of the child at a given age. This is like an industry that usually produce resources to deal with the client, depending on the need of the client. it is very important that a mother should breastfeed her own child. And when it comes to breastfeeding, infants should be breastfed exclusively unless otherwise for the first 6 months. Exclusive breastfeeding unless otherwise, if there's a need, or unless if there's otherwise if there's a clinical recommendation from a certified practitioner. Let me repeat this. If the recommendation to not which recommend that you should not breastfeed your child, that should only come from a clinical recommendation from a certified practitioner. Leave alone those bush doctors out there in the street, which you recommend almost everything. You know, when you have a young when you have an infant, everyone is a technician. It's like everyone is giving a recommendation. Give her this, give him this, give that this. Everyone is it's like want everyone is trying to show that he or she also knows. You don't have to take all those recommendations, but at least take from reliable sources. There are no excuses unless otherwise for not breastfeeding your child. You know, some people will feed them when they're too young. That's not good for the child unless otherwise recommended. Others will say, oh, the child is thirsty, so they will add water. Remember that that milk, 70% is having water. And we also noted that the mother's milk naturally changes to suit the best composition for the need of the child. And you hear some women will complain, oh, my milk is too watery, so I have to feed the child some porridge. No. At least for the first 6 months, unless otherwise recommended, you need to breastfeed the child or the infant. Others will also give another excuses. The first milk is dirty, I need to pour it down, then the fresh milk is what my child will drink. No. The first milk is the best milk for the infant, because it's that milk which usually has it's called colostrum. It has more nutrients, it has more antibiotic that will help the child to heal faster in the umbilical cord and build the infant's immunity. So there should be no excuses. Mothers should breastfeed their children. The other one, some women who complain, if I breastfeed the child, my breast will fall down like that. No, if it's going to bend down, it's going to bend down, not necessarily because you breastfeed the child or not. Okay. No, breastfeeding. The antibodies from the mothers create the immunity of the baby, and that depends on the breastfeeding, and which is very important. Breastfeeding. Studies also shows that there is a relationship or correlation between breastfeeding and the higher intelligence in the baby. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or you never breastfeed? Did you drink? Did you got enough mother's milk? Okay, come on. So studies shows that there's a relationship, or there's a correlation between the infants which were breastfed and the infants which were not. There's more chances that an infant who was properly breastfed is most likely to also be more intelligent than the infant which has been malnourished from the beginning. Breastfeeding helps to create the strength of the bond between the mother and the baby as well. So not only for the health of the infant, but also for the relationship of mother and the baby. Breastfeeding is very important. Now, let's talk about multiple birth. Multiple birth. When you talk of multiple birth, we talk of twins or occurrence of the twins. there are two types of twins. There's monozygotic twins and dizygotic twins. Whereas monozygotic twins, these are twins from the one egg, one sperm, and then the sperm and the egg divided to form two individuals who are identical twins. But dizygotic twins, those are type of twins who happens to come from two separate eggs, and they are called fraternal. They can be male and female. They can be both male or both female. And that is the monozygotic and the dizygotic. And then so identical twins are monozygotic, one zygote. They split into two, and then two identical children happens. They have same exact DNA. They are nature clones. And then dizygotic twins, these are fraternal twins. They happens to come from two different sperms, two different eggs, two different genetic makeup, and they can look alike or they can be very different. By the way, it is possible if a woman has had sex with two different men, there are possibility of heteropaternal twins. I think this is rarely happening, and under normal circumstances that is not possibly happening, unless otherwise the woman was not settled enough. She had sex with two men in the same day. But at least biologically it is possible. If they are fraternal, they can have two different fathers, or same father. If it happens that they come from two different sperms, those are fraternal twins. If they come from a same single sperm and single egg, those are identical twins. How can you differentiate? After they're born, the fraternal twins will always come with two placenta. If they're identical, they'll share a single placenta. And fraternal are more of like siblings, but identical twins are more of similar or the same. But it can happen that twins are born joined. These are called conjoined twins or Siamese twins. The first well-known case was in Siam. Then they were called the Siamese twins. These are identical twins which were never completely separated, and that is what makes them to be conjoined twins. And those are different types of twins. So we have identical twins from one egg, one sperm, then the two separate, then they join, and then the cells separated to form two separate ones, and then they'll be identical. Or two different eggs, two different sperms, then follow, that is fraternal twins. If they are conjoined twins, they come from one egg, one sperm, and then they are not fully disintegrated or fully separated. They are called conjoined twins or Siamese twins. And in our next class, we'll talk about something else, reproductive health, and that will be the last part of this lesson for this semester. May God bless you. See you next time as we will be talking about reproductive health. You can go through it, and may God bless you. Hi, bye.